Hi, Kelsey. Mr. Parrish here. I'm going to take a few minutes and walk through the identity paragraph submission. I think it's a really good start. And I have maybe one general thing to say throughout the paper that comes up over and over again. And if you can take that to heart and act to improve your writing in that one regard, I think you'll find yourself doing much better. And this exercise well worth the effort. So here goes. Formatting paper, that all looks fine. I would say that this title needs work comment is really anytime a student uses the assignment name as the title, I give them this title needs work grade mark. So let me say a few things about the Feedback Studio before I go forward. You can access this by returning to your original submission and turn it in. If you click on a little blue pencil icon next to the grade, it'll take you to this view. And you can open these grade marks for the comments that follow. And so basically your title wants to indicate your topic and either your stance or your angle on it. So just going forward, think of a title that captures, introduces the topic and your stance on it. All right. Paragraphs are indented. That's what that's about. And here's kind of the classic comma splice error. You'll be working on the inquisitive exercises on comma splice. And this really is maybe the most common one. On the surface, I may appear as a typical teenage girl. That's the end of one sentence. However, there are several parts of me that differentiate me from anyone else. That's your second sentence. If you're combining these two sentences with however, here's the way this always gets punctuated. There's a semicolon that replaces where the period would go after girl. However, and then a comma. You'll see that pattern over and over again. However, it doesn't always have the semicolon in front of it, but when it's doing this job, putting two sentences together, it does. I like the idea of volunteer, but as I put here, example needed, what I'm really kind of getting at is where do you volunteer? You say a lot of things that are true about volunteering, but they're also true about volunteering in a general sense. That is to say, they could apply to anyone who volunteers to do just about anything. So where specifically do you volunteer? Is it one place or a combination of places? And then when I give that example needed, how do you connect your volunteering activity to your career path? I mean, is the case, if somebody's volunteering at the animal shelter and wants to be a vet, then that's the kind of connection we'd want to see. Here, this is a kind of general rule of thumb that I use when I'm writing, is if I start a sentence with the word this, I always put a noun after it. So if it's being a volunteer, that there may not be one word that goes here, so you may change something to these opportunities, or you might say in that particular case, these opportunities have helped me establish relationships. That's a way to rephrase that and actually tighten it up a little bit. But that's my experience, that I can always write a sentence better if I go in and replace that this has or this was or this is, either with a noun or rewrite it to get rid of it. After that, I think you'll see pretty much the same comment showing up both times for the other ideas. For the athlete, again, you don't specify the sports you've played, or give a sort of example where you've learned that tenacity, whether it's coming back from an injury or waiting your turn and playing behind somebody and then stepping into a starting role. Those kinds of stories that illustrate the sort of lessons that you say you've learned. And I think the same thing is true then with sister. You mentioned that you're a sister, but you don't really mention anything about specific about your sibling. Is it one or more than one? Are you the sister of a brother or the sister of another sister? And maybe those are different. And is there that specific instance that kind of brings to life some of the things you're talking about, that role modeling part? Last thing I'll say is very common, another sort of thing that if you can say, all right, I'm just not going to do this again, is if you just refuse to use you as a word in English 112. You'll see that it's often an error, and here's what the error is in this particular sentence. You're saying being a sister has motivated me to be the best version of myself because there are always eyes watching. Well, it's me. That's the word that goes there. so that you is again kind of drifting away from the topic. It's not specific, it's not concrete, it's not accurate, and that's a kind of overall thing that you'll want to look for the opportunities to make it specific and concrete and real, whether it's these examples, but certainly the use of that pronoun there. So organizationally, I think you've got this organized pretty well. It's just a matter of the development is more on the, I guess, the more general angle than you'll want. And if you have the opportunity to develop this again, and I'm thinking that for the final assignment of the class, we may revisit this paragraph. I think this little video would certainly help you think about how you could develop this into a more significant piece. That might be what we do it toward the end of the class. All right. If you would do me the favor of letting me know that by email that you've received this file and were able to open it and it worked okay for you and that you understand the feedback, I'd appreciate it. And of course, if you have any questions about anything I've said about this assignment or what you're doing for the next one, don't hesitate to reach out to me. Thanks.